Hi, I'm Laura. I'm a yoga instructor. I'm also a doctor of physical therapy. Today's session is going to be focused towards our hips with a lot of hip openers, hip mobility, really getting into that hip joint, stretching all the structures around the hip joint. If anyone has any questions, leave a comment in the comment section below and we'll go ahead and get started here. We're going to begin lying on our backs in supine butterfly pose. So we'll go ahead and do that. Soles of the feet together to touch, heels flaring out a few inches apart, knees are going to be spread open nice and wide, and then we'll go ahead and make our way lying down onto our backs, just getting nice and comfortable. Once you're lying on your back, go ahead and relax your shoulders down your back. We'll bring our right hand to our stomach and our left hand to our heart. Just noticing the natural rise and expansion of the stomach with every inhale. As we inhale, filling up the low stomach, letting it expand like a balloon. As we exhale, drawing that navel deeper to our spine, squeezing our core, pressing the stale air out of the low lobes of the lungs, sending it back to the heart where it can become rejuvenated. And as we take this time at the beginning of our practice, just to settle in with our thoughts, coming back to the steadiness of our breathing, checking in with our breath, our thoughts. Throughout our practice, we want to use diaphragmatic breathing, using our diaphragm muscle. So as you inhale, feeling that low stomach inflate. As we exhale, drawing that navel deeper to the spine helps to engage the diaphragm and engaging your transversus abdominis muscle, the muscle that acts as a corset to help support the spine and give you more stability throughout your daily activities. Also using what's called an ujjayi breath. As we inhale, we want to inhale through our nose, and as we exhale through our nose while keeping the mouth closed, sounding like the waves of the ocean. The analogy can also be used as if you're trying to fog up a window while keeping the mouth closed. And it's kind of just like a sine noise. It helps to relax your body. It stimulates our vagus nerve to slow the heart rate down. So we always want to come back to that steady deep breath in and out through our nose. If you'd like to, setting an intention for your practice today, maybe offering up your practice to someone you're grateful to or you're grateful for. We'll take 2 more deep, slow, audible breaths here, trying to equalize the duration of our inhales with the duration of our exhales. On our next inhale, we'll gently open the eyes. We'll start to wiggle the fingers, rolling out the wrists, bringing life back into our upper body. And then when you're ready, starting to lengthen out through the legs, reaching the arms overhead and just getting a quick total body stretch from head to toe, as if you were just waking up from your bed this morning. Taking a scan of how the body's feeling, noticing any areas that are tight or tired, really trying to direct your breath to those areas. On our next inhale, we're going to bring both of our knees into our chest, wrapping the arms around our shins. We're going to lift up into a tight ball as we bring the forehead towards the knees. Think about trying to imprint your low back into the floor so there's no gaps between the low back and the mat. Starting to engage those core muscles. Shoulders are relaxed away from the ears. And then on your exhale, keeping the engagement of the core, relaxing your head down, and gently rocking side to side to massage the lower back, to massage out those hip flexor muscles, and to give a little massage to your transverse colon, stimulating our gut mobility. As you hold here in this tight ball, try to interlace your fingers together, clasping your hands like a prayer, or you can grab one wrist with the opposite hand. Arms are still hugging around those knees, heads relaxed onto the floor. You're going to try to engage the core as you imprint the low back into the mat. Flex your feet, take a deep inhale, and on your exhale, you're going to press your legs outward into your arms like you're busting out of the spine. The arms are there to provide resistance. The legs are active. You should feel your outer hips engaged. Keep breathing. Low back is flat to the floor. One more breath. Exhaling, relaxing, and gently rocking side to side. Still staying into that little ball shape. Still keeping clasp with the hands or grabbing a hold of one wrist with the opposite hand. We're trying to loosen up those hip joints, trying to reset our SIJ, our sacroiliac joint. Slowly coming back to center, you're going to flex those feet, engage your core, low back glued to the floor. Deep inhale through your nose, and on your exhale, pressing those legs outward into your arms. Press, press, press. Keep holding, keep breathing. Pretend like you're trying to bust loose out of the spine. You should feel those outer hips engage. You might even shake. That's a good thing. Exhaling, relaxing, and gently rocking side to side. Coming back to the steadiness of your breathing. With each passing round, you should feel those hips get a little looser. When you're ready, coming back to center. We're going to do it 2 more times. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhaling, pressing those legs outward into your arms. Press as hard as you can. Feel those outer hip muscles, your hip abductors activate. Flex your feet to get a little bit deeper activation and to really get deep into that hip socket. One more breath. Exhaling, relaxing, and gently rocking side to side. So the reasons why we do this to help reset the SI joint, is to really try to get rid of that leg length discrepancy that might happen as a result of an imbalanced SIJ. And that can lead to back pain, it can lead to hip pain. So we really want to try to address the alignment of your SIJ. Coming back to center, you're going to bring arms up to the sky, and this time you're going to bring arms to the insides of your legs. You're going to wrap them to the outsides of your feet, grabbing a hold of the ankles. Now from here, you're going to relax your head down. You're going to take a deep inhale through your nose, and on your exhale, you're going to press your legs towards one another. Like you're trying to bring the legs to midline. Your low back is still glued to the floor. Your core is still active and engaged. Keep flexing those feet. Keep pressing. One more breath. Exhaling, relaxing, and gently rocking side to side. Feeling that low back release. Upper body should be completely relaxed. Shoulders away from the ears. And try to keep a little tuck of your chin to your chest so you're not hyperextending through your neck. We want the whole spine imprinted to the floor for good alignment. Coming back to center, we're going to do this again. Flex those feet. Deep inhale through your nose. Exhale, press those legs together. Use the arms to resist the legs so you're making that active, forceful motion inward towards the midline of your body. Try to see if you can get those legs to shake. We want to reset that joint. One more breath. And relaxing, gently rocking side to side. You know you're doing it correctly if you can feel your hips loosening after each round. We want to really contract those muscles while we're in it, but when you relax, you should feel the hips feeling a little looser. We're going to do this 2 more times, coming back to center. Deep inhale in. Exhaling, pressing those legs together. Press, press, press. Hold, hold. Flex those feet. Keep the chin tucked to your chest. Keep your shoulders away from your ears. One more breath. Exhaling, relaxing, and rocking side to side. We have one last round to go. As you hold here, think about breathing in through your nose, exhaling through the nose, making that swirly sound in the back of the throat to relax your body, to quiet your mind. Coming back to center, one last round. Deep inhale in. Exhaling, pressing legs together. Use those arms to firm the legs. Keep flexing through your feet, which means toes come upward to face towards your face. One more breath, get that shake. Exhaling, relaxing, and gently rocking side to side. Hips should feel pretty loose by now. And when you're ready, slowly coming back to center, we're going to move into a brief happy baby pose. Arms to the insides of your legs. We're going to grab for the outsides of the feet, pressing feet into hands, hands into feet, like you're driving your knees down towards the floor. And you should feel a nice release of the lower muscles, the pelvic floor. Holding here, you can gently rock side to side. We're going to come back to the stretch towards the end of our practice to assess to see if there's a difference from our practice. And then when you're ready, we're going to take a gentle straddle pose, grabbing both big toes with both thumb and second finger, straightening legs up and opening legs out into your wide-legged straddle. You may stop right up here, that's totally fine. Let gravity do the work, never force it, and use that exhale to sink yourself deeper into your stretch. Again, this is just a baseline, we'll come back to it. Inhaling as you bring the soles of the feet together, legs together overhead. And from here, you're going to bend your knees, bringing them in tabletop position. As you come in tabletop, use your hand to slide underneath your back and make sure you can't fit that hand under your back. No spaces between low back and the floor. Engage your core. With your hands, you're going to bring them to the tops of your thighs. You're going to relax your head down to the mat, relax your shoulders. Deep inhale through your nose, flex your feet, and on your exhale, you're going to press your thighs into your hands and your hands into your thighs. We're getting those hip flexors to activate. Again, trying to reset that SIJ joint, preventing that leg length discrepancy, preventing a pelvic shift or a pelvic drop side to side. One more breath, try to get a shake. Exhaling, relaxing, hug those knees in, and gently rocking side to side. Hips should feel already looser. Coming back to that breath. When you're ready, coming back to center. Knees back in tabletop. We're going to do it again. Hands to the tops of your thighs. Deep inhale through your nose, flex your feet. And exhaling, pressing thighs into hands, hands into thighs. Think about using your arms to push your legs away from you, but then you're also trying to resist that motion with the legs. Core is very active. You're going to get it to shake. That's if you know if you're doing it correctly. One more breath. Exhaling, relaxing, knees into chest, gentle rocking side to side. Next one we're going to do, and last one, just reset that SIJ. You're going to bring your arms underneath your thighs, grabbing the back side of your thighs. You can either put your hands there or you can wrap your arms, clasping at your wrists or one wrist with the opposite. Knees in tabletop, feet flexed, shoulders relaxed, low back glued to the floor, and on your exhale, you're going to press your legs downward like you're trying to push the legs towards the floor. You should feel the back side of those legs fire. So that's going to be your glutes, your hamstrings, all your hip extensors. Make sure that low back is glued to the floor by engaging your core. One more breath. Exhaling, relaxing, and rocking side to side. So we're trying to realign that SIJ by doing a posterior isometric contraction to activate and fire all of the posterior muscles, our hip extensors, to help prevent if we have an anterior tilt in our low back, which most of us live in. You're going to slowly come back to center. We're going to do it again. Flex those feet. Deep inhale in, shoulders relaxed. Exhale, press those legs away from the arms. Use the arms as resistance. Keep breathing. Keep squeezing your glutes. Feel those hamstrings fire. One more breath. Exhaling, relaxing, and gently rocking side to side. Good. We're going to stay here lying on the mat, and you're going to bend your left knee. You're going to keep the left knee into your chest. You're going to drop the right leg down to the floor. Hands interlace on the top of that left shin. You can either keep the right leg bent if your back starts to arch. If it doesn't, you can straighten the right leg. Hands interlace on top of the left shin as you exhale, bringing that knee to your shoulder. Ideally, the knee will touch the shoulder, but don't worry if it doesn't. We're just assessing the hip mobility and range of motion in that left hip joint. Think about bringing that leg closer to your body, getting that nice deep approximation into the hip, and then loosening up on the stretch, starting to make circular movements with that left hip. creating that range of motion. Again, just assessing, never forcing anything. We don't want to ever bring in any judgment. We don't ever want to have any expectations or comparisons in our practice. Try to work with that breath. Inhaling as you bring the leg away from you. Exhaling as you bring it into your shoulder. We'll do 2 more circles in this direction. And when you're ready, reversing the direction of that circle. Think about listening to the sound of the breath in and out through your nose, making that swirly sound in the back of your throat. Low back stays glued to the floor. If your back starts to arch, bend that right knee and place it firmly on the floor with the right foot to prevent any anterior tilting of your pelvis. We want those cores active. 1 more circle wherever you're at. Good, and then whenever you're finished, take your time. We're going to switch legs. So this time we'll lengthen that left leg. You can either lengthen it or bend the knee, placing the sole of the foot on the floor. Right knee comes into your chest. Hands interlace on top of that right shin. Head's relaxed. And on your exhale, pulling that knee gently towards your shoulder. Holding here for several breaths. Assessing the hip range of motion and mobility of this right side. Comparing left side versus right. Just bringing awareness in. And when you're ready, starting to make those circular movements with your right hip this time. Inhaling as you bring the leg away from you. Exhaling as you bring it in deeper to your chest. Working with the breathing. Try not to let that pelvis move. You want that good proximal stability, the stability of the core in the back, to allow for distal mobility, the mobility of your hip joint and knee. When you're ready, reversing the direction of that circle. We'll do 2 more circles here. On your last one, we'll keep that right knee into our chest. We're going to bring left knee into our chest as well. Arms underneath your thighs. We're going to do 4 rolls up and down on the back, massaging the spine. And on your last one, you're going to rock up to sitting crisscross applesauce. Whichever leg you want in front of the other is up to you. And then once you're sitting up nice and tall, we're going to bring hands behind your hips, bring your fingertips to face towards your body. You're going to plant those palms, deep inhale through your nose, open through your chest, and you're going to lead with your hips. So your hips start to lift, you start to squeeze those glutes to improve that hip extension, and then the upper body relaxes as you let that head fall back freely, like a piece of fruit hanging on a tree. Keep squeezing your glutes to fight for height throughout those hip joints. 1 more breath. And on your exhale, you're going to come back down the way you came up as you slowly lower the hips. Your head's going to be the last thing to come back to center. Take your time. And then when you're ready, we're going to switch sides. We got to do both sides. So bring the opposite leg in front, sitting crisscross applesauce. Hands behind your hips, fingertips point towards you. Deep inhale through your nose, squeeze your shoulders together. Again, initiate the movement from your hips as you start to lift them up. Start to squeeze through your glutes, start to open through your chest, broaden your shoulders as you let your head fall back freely. We're working shoulder extension, we're working that hip mobility, hip extension, stretching all of those anterior muscles and ligaments on the front top portion of your thighs. 1 more breath. Exhaling as you slowly lower those hips back down. Again, head's the last thing to come back to center, sitting up tall. And from here, we're going to transition to all fours. Arms come in front of the body. Use your core to push yourself up to all fours. Wrists are going to come underneath your shoulders. Knees will come underneath your hips. So we want that good alignment. And then from here, we're going to get a little bit more hip mobility and assessment. So from here, you're going to lengthen the back right leg behind you, coming onto the toe of that right foot, and then from here, you're going to just drop your hips over to the left. Assessing the mobility in that outer left hip joint. Breathing in and out through your nose. You might be up here, you might be all the way down to the floor. It doesn't matter. We're just assessing our baseline. On your inhale, coming back to center, we're going to switch sides. So lengthening that left leg back behind you. And on your exhale, dropping hips to the right. Getting that mobility, that stretch, and all of those outer right hip muscles. So these are all your lateral muscles in the glutes, your TFL tensor fascia lata, your glute med, your glute min, your external rotators, obturator externus. Inhaling as you come back to center. And then again, staying on all fours, wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. You're going to make large circular movements with your hips. Inhaling as you bring the torso forward to your hands. Exhaling as you send the hips back towards your heels. We're assessing the mobility throughout the range of motion. So really try to bring awareness in here. Think about if it's maybe tight in one spot, holding there a little bit longer, but just moving at a pace that's comfortable for you and one that matches your own needs today. We all have different areas of the body that are tight, so really just take this time to try to even out those areas to prevent injuries, to prevent pain. Working with that breath, inhaling as you come forward, exhaling as you send your hips back. As you start to slow your breathing, your movements are going to slow to reflect that slow breath. So really take your time. There's no rush at all. We'll do 2 more circles in this direction. And one more time. Whenever you're ready, we'll reverse the direction of our circle. Exhaling as you sink those hips back to your heels. Inhaling as you come forward to your hands. Feel free to close your eyes as you do this. With the eyes closed, it takes out our visual system and it forces us to rely on our other sensory systems. So that's going to be like your somatosensory system. So like feeling the mat against your fingertips, feeling the knees against the floor, feeling where you're at in space, as well as your vestibular system, which is usually a little bit weak in a lot of us. A lot of us are visually dominant. So we have to use that inner ear balance, the vestibular system, to help us with this stretch, with this mobility routine. We'll do 2 more circles here. And that can apply to anything in your daily life, whether that's washing the dishes, maybe doing it with your eyes closed, unless you're washing a knife or something. Use your judgment, your best judgment. One last circle here. Whenever you're finished, we're going to slowly rise back up to all fours, and we're just going to recheck that first mobility drill we did. So staying on all fours, I'm just turning to the side so you can better see. Let's lengthen that right leg back behind us, and exhaling, let's drop those hips to the left. You should see a little bit of a difference in those outer glute structures. They should feel a little looser. You should get a little more range, hopefully. Inhaling back to center. Let's switch sides, lengthening the left leg back behind you. Exhaling, dropping the hips to the right. Again, feeling all those lateral hip structures. You should feel that stretch in the outer glute. Hopefully getting a little more range. Inhaling it back to center. And then back on all fours one last time. Let's separate the knees almost as wide as your yoga mat. And on your exhale, you're just going to push back to a child's pose. Torso resting towards the thighs, forehead to the floor. Ideally, we'll get the hips to touch towards the heels to really make sure those hip flexors are relaxed. The anterior portion of our joint capsule and our hips have mobility in them. Use the strength in your core to create that abdominal compression for you to get your torso to rest deeper to your thighs. Let your arms just be heavy and relaxed, using the gravity to just relax them down your back, getting a nice stretch into the shoulder girdle, improving that shoulder extension and reaching overhead. And then on your inhale, we're going to slowly rise up to all fours. From here, we're going to transition to down dog. So you're going to round your spine, engage your core, gaze towards your navel, tucking the toes. Knees lift as you send your hips up and back for your first downward facing dog of today's practice. Adho Mukha Svanasana in Sanskrit. And then holding in this down dog, just warming up your body again. Feel free to bend one leg, straighten the other. Bicycling your heels side to side. Getting that stretch all the way down the backs of those legs, your hamstrings and into your calves. Again, today's practice is focused towards our hips. So we're going to be focusing a lot on the hip openers, hip mobility. Let's take 2 more deep breaths in this down dog. Think about pushing away from the hands, sending the hips back to protect your wrists. Head is relaxed. 1 more breath. On your inhale, starting to walk your feet forward to meet your hands. Keep that core engaged. Keep your shoulders relaxed. Use that abdominal compression to create space. Once you're at the top of your mat, we'll inhale as we lengthen through, gazing forward. Squeeze your shoulders together. Exhaling, melting your heart into your first forward fold. Let's do that 4 more times. So inhaling as you lengthen through your spine, fingertips on the floor or hands to your shins. Back is flat. Exhaling as you bring that length with you into your forward fold. 3 more times. Inhaling, try to shift the weight forward into your toes. Use those shoulder retractors to squeeze. Exhaling, scoop in that stomach. Create that space as you fold. 2 more times. Warming up the spine. Warming up the hamstrings. Last one, using your breath, inhale, fill up the lungs. Exhale, scoop in the stomach. Once you're in forward fold, you're going to peel the vertebrae up. So you're going to round your spine, low back starts to stack, 1 vertebrae on top of the other, then middle back, eventually your upper back. And then your head and neck, your cervical spine, chin is going to be the last thing to come up. Shoulders dropping down your back, standing up nice and tall. The top of your yoga mat for Surya Namaskar. Both big toes touching, heels flaring out a few inches apart. Hands at your heart center, shoulder blades relaxing down your back, closing your eyes, bowing to the wisdom of your heart. Feeling that stretch into your suboccipital muscles, the muscles in the neck. Feeling if they're tight. For this hour, no judgment, no expectations, no comparisons. Slowly opening your eyes as you reach your prayer taw to the sky, press to the palms, gazing up. Exhaling as you swan dive down, hinging from your hips, forward fold, torso to the floor. Inhaling, lengthening through, fingers on the floor or on your shins. Exhaling, melting your heart, forward fold. Stepping the legs back into a plank pose. We're going to take our first vinyasa. Exhaling, shift forward on the toes. Chaturanga, elbows squeeze your sides. Inhaling, rising up for upward dog, lifting your gaze, getting a nice back bend. Exhaling, rolling over the toes. Hips go up and back for your downward facing dog. We'll hold for about 5 deep breaths. We're working on getting that mobility, that length in your spine. So we're creating an opposition of forces. So with your hands, you're planting them firmly in the floor. Your hips, you're sending them further back, almost like you're tractioning your spine. That's the goal of the down dog here. is to keep that length in the spine, create space between your vertebrae, create that space between your discs to keep them healthy, to keep them pliable. One more breath. Inhaling when you're ready, walking those feet forward to meet your hands. Inhaling as you lengthen through, gazing forward. Exhaling, forward fold. Reverse swan diving all the way up to standing, rounding that spine, stacking the vertebrae, getting good mobility through each segment throughout the back. Head's the last thing to lift. Inhale, reach tall. Exhaling, hands to your heart center. We have one more sun salutation A. When you're ready, deep inhale, reaching the arms up. Exhaling, swan diving down, forward fold. Inhaling, lengthening through. Exhaling, forward fold. Planting your palms, stepping feet back to plank. Taking your vinyasa, exhaling into chaturanga. Knees can be lifted or dropped. I'll demonstrate them dropped. Inhaling for your upward dog, opening your back. Exhaling, downward dog. 5 deep breaths here, breathing slow and steady. Eventually the heels will drop closer to the floor as those hamstrings loosen, but don't worry if they're not there yet. Honor your body wherever you're at in your practice is perfect. Keep dropping shoulder blades down your back, squeezing them together to get that nice shoulder extension. One more breath. Inhaling, walking the feet forward to meet the hands, core remains engaged. Once you're at the top of your mat, inhaling, lengthening through. Exhaling, forward fold. Inhaling to chair pose, Utkatasana. Deepen in the knees, reaching the arms forward or up to the sky for more challenge. You're squeezing those thighs together, weight is in the heels, shoulders are relaxed, gazing up. Inhale, thrust to your hips, squeeze your glutes, reach up. Exhaling, hands to your heart center. We're going to do that 2 more times. Moving into our sun salutation B. Deep inhale, bending the knees, reaching arms up for chair, Utkatasana. Exhaling, swan diving down, forward fold. Inhaling, lengthening. Exhaling, folding. Planting palms, stepping feet back for plank. Exhaling, chaturanga, gazes forward. Inhaling, up dog, opening that heart. Exhaling, down dog, Adho Mukha. Adding in our warriors, we'll step the right foot forward. Warrior 1, grounding back left heel. Rising up to standing, try to square those hips forward. When you're ready, reaching the arms up, relaxing those shoulders, gazing up. Feeling that stretch into that left hip. Exhaling, arms down to frame that right foot. Stepping it back for plank. Exhaling, chaturanga. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, downward dog. Stepping left foot forward, warrior 1. Grounding your back right heel. Inhaling as you come up to standing, try to square your hips forward, deepen that bend in that front left leg. And inhaling, arms up, lengthen. Exhale, relax those shoulders. And when you're ready, exhaling, arms down to frame the foot. Stepping it back, taking that vinyasa, working with your breath. We'll all end up in down dog or child's pose. So at any point throughout your practice, feel free to drop the knees, melting torso to the thighs, allowing your body to rest. Down dog or child's pose for about 4 more breaths. We always come back to the steadiness of our breathing in down dog or child's pose. Even though they're poses of rest, we're still working by engaging the abdominals, navel to spine, Uddiyana Bandha, Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor. 1 more breath. And whenever you're ready, down dog, we're going to walk those feet forward to meet the hands, core remains engaged. Nothing wrong with taking a break in your practice, coming back to that breath. Inhaling as you lengthen through, exhaling forward fold. Inhaling chair, Utkatasana. Deep bend in the knees, reaching the arms up, squeeze those thighs, tuck your tailbone. Inhale, thrust through those hips, reach tall. Exhaling, hands to your heart center. One last round of Sun Salutation B. Inhaling chair, deep bend in the knees, arms come up. Exhaling, swan diving down, forward fold. Inhaling, lengthening through. Squeeze those shoulders, exhaling, forward fold. Planting the palms, stepping back, plank. Taking that Vinyasa, exhale, Chaturanga, elbows squeeze your sides. Inhale, up dog, or Mukha. Exhaling, Adho Mukha, down dog. Right foot steps forward, warrior one. Rounding back left heel. Take a deep inhale as you reach your arms up. Keep inhaling. Exhaling, releasing hands down to frame the foot. Continue your exhale into your Chaturanga. Inhaling to your up dog. Exhaling, down dog. Left foot steps forward, warrior one. Deep inhale as you rise up. Keep inhaling, fill up those lungs. Exhaling, hands to frame that foot. Continue your exhale into Chaturanga. Exhale. Inhaling, up dog. Exhaling, downward dog. 5 deep breaths here, breathing slow and steady. Come back to the tightness of your bandhas. Uddiyana Bandha is your core as you draw your navel deeper to your spine. Mula Bandha, the pelvic floor, as you squeeze the glutes, contracting those inner thighs. Using your bandhas keeps you lighter in the poses. Helps support the spine. One more breath. And on your next inhale, we're going to reach the right leg tall to the sky. 3-legged down dog. Keep that leg straight. Point your toes. Fight for height. Feeling that stretch down the back of the left leg, your hamstrings. Send your hips further back to deepen the stretch. And on your exhale, bending that right knee, you're going to open up the hips. Try to gaze underneath your left armpit as you find that right foot. Hip opener, one more breath. Inhaling, you're going to slowly bring that bent right knee forward in between the hands. 90-degree bend in that knee. You're going to drop the left knee down to the floor. Low lunge position, flatten those left toes. And you're going to rise up to standing. Very nice. So we're going to get a little deeper into our hips. Feel free to grab a block to help you with this next part. Hands are going to come to your hips. You're going to square the hips forward. So we're going to push that right hip back. We're going to pull the left hip forward. Tucking your tailbone, squeezing your core. And you should feel that left hip flexor get a nice stretch. Your hip flexor actually comes from the low back. So if it's tight, it's going to pull you into this anterior pelvic tilt where you're arching your back. That can cause a lot of pain and problems. So to stretch it, we tuck the tailbone under by using the glutes. Deepening the stretch more, let's inhale the left arm up to the sky. And on your exhale, gentle side bend over to the right. Now we're getting all of those left paraspinals. We're getting that left quadratus lumborum muscle, the QL. If one glute is weaker, one hip is weaker, it can cause the spine to tighten on that side. Since we side bend if the glute's weak, so we want to open everything out and up. One more breath. Inhaling back to center. We're going to exhale both arms to the inside of that right foot as you heel toe the right foot to the right side of your mat. Lizard pose. Palms come to the inside of the foot. And then from here, you're going to press that right arm into the leg into the arm, create a bind, create a lock. Try to square your hips forward again, so we don't want to be crooked. We want to keep pushing the right hip back. We want to keep pulling the left hip forward. To deepen that left hip flexor stretch, you're going to come up onto your knuckles or use blocks. Think about lifting through your chest. Pretend like you have a string pulling you forward and up, causing you to lift out of the spine. Now as you lift up, you're trying to sink that right hip and left hip deeper to the floor, creating that opposition of forces, that tractioning to stretch that anterior joint capsule more. One more breath. Now from here, you can come back onto your palms, you can stay on your knuckles, or you can go deeper as you bend at your elbows. Forearms drop down to the floor, coming into a deeper version of your lizard pose. Your gaze is slightly forward. Make sure you're not tilted side to side. If you are, come back to your palms and stay there. If you're all the way down to the forearms, make sure your shoulders are relaxed. You drop them away from your ears. Crown of the head moves slightly forward, tailbone moves back to the wall behind you, keeping that length in your spine. Holding in your lizard pose, you can stay on forearms or palms. I'll demonstrate on the palms. We're going to move into crooked monkey, a hip opener. So gently rolling onto the side of the right foot as you allow that knee to open out to the side. As the knee opens, your hips are going to want to unsquare. So keep pressing that right hip back, keep pulling that left hip forward. Remember, it doesn't matter the aesthetics of the poses, it's more about the feeling, honoring your body wherever you're at. You should feel that stretch all in the outer right glute. One more breath. On your inhale, slowly rolling back onto the sole of that right foot. Let's tuck those left toes under, left knee lifts. And you're going to step that right foot back, down dog, shaking out the legs, comparing side to side. And if you want, holding down dog, taking a child's pose, or taking your optional vinyasa. We'll all end up in down dog or child's pose for about 2 deep breaths before we do the other side. Coming back to the length of the breath. On your next inhale, we're going to reach the left leg tall to the sky for that 3-legged down dog. Keep it straight, point your toes. Breathing into the back of the right leg, your hamstring. Exhaling as you bend that left knee and you start to open your hips, stacking left hip on top of right, using underneath the right shoulder and armpit, trying to find that left foot. And on your inhale, keeping the bend in that left knee as you bring it forward towards your forehead. And you're going to plant that foot down to the floor, 90-degree bend, dropping right knee down, low lunge, and slowly rising up to standing, hands to the hips. So standing in your low lunge, shoulders are relaxed, back right toes are untucked, squaring those hips, so pressing left hip back, pushing right hip forward, tucking your tailbone, so again, no arching in the back, that makes that hip flexor tighter. We want to tuck the tailbone under by squeezing that right glute, squeezing your core, inhaling, reaching that right arm tall to the sky to further put that hip flexor muscle on stretch. And then on your exhale, gentle side bend to the left. Try to pull that right shoulder back. You don't want to be collapsed down. You want to keep everything open, stretching all those paraspinals along the right side of the body, stretching that QL, opening up the lungs on the right side, getting good oxygenation to those. One more breath. Inhaling back to center, exhaling both arms to the inside of that left foot, heel-toeing left foot to the outside portion of the mat. Palms come to the inside of the foot. You can inch the back right knee back a little more if you want. And then when you're ready, creating that lock of your left arm with your leg. So you want to press arm into leg, leg into arm, feeling that stretch into that left inner thigh. Holding here, if you want to get a deeper stretch, try to walk up onto the knuckles. If you have blocks, you can use those to get an even more of a stretch into that hip flexor muscle. Shoulders are relaxed, chest pushing forward. 2 more breaths here. Think about sinking your hips deeper to the mat, lifting taller out of your waist. And then when you're ready, coming back onto those palms or knuckles, or if you want to go deeper, Moving on to your forearms. Again, if you move into your forearms and your hips start to tilt, come back a step, come back onto your palms. We want to have good symmetrical alignment, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip. Re-square those hips, pressing left hip back, pushing right hip forward. And once you're in the stretch, just try to focus on the breath. I talk a lot about the asanas, the poses, but what's really, really important more so than those is that steady breath to quiet the mind, keeping us present in the moment. Let's take 2 more breaths here. On your inhale, slowly coming back onto your palms if you're on your forearms. Moving into your crooked monkey, you can do that on the palms or forearms. Gently rolling onto the side of that left foot as you open the knee out to the side. Stretching all those outside structures in that outer left hip. Again, make sure your hips don't unsquare, but you have that good symmetrical alignment. Squeezing shoulders down your back so we're not rounding. 2 more breaths. 1 more. On your inhale, slowly rolling back onto the sole of that foot, tucking those right toes under, lifting right knee, stepping left foot back, down dog, shaking out the legs. Holding your down dog, taking a child's pose, or taking one last, yes I said it, one last vinyasa. When you're ready, we'll come to child's pose, spreading those knees, melting your heart, forehead to the floor, resting, reflecting on your practice thus far, noticing the difference of how this child's pose feels versus the very first one of our practice. Hopefully those hips go a little closer to touching to the heels, even if it's the slightest bit. Just let your spine relax, your mind steady, focusing on the breath. On your inhale, we're going to slowly rise up to all fours. I'm going to twist sideways so y'all can see better. Wrists under shoulders, knees under hips. Let's recheck that first stretch we did at the beginning of our practice. Lengthening right leg back behind you, coming onto those toes. Exhaling, dropping hips to the left. And I have a lot more range. Hopefully you do too, as those hips got a little looser over our practice. Inhaling back to center. Let's go ahead and switch. Left leg lengthens, coming onto that big toe. Exhaling, hips to the right. Again, a lot more range. Hopefully you have a lot more range at home too. Inhaling back to center. And from here we'll have a seat. Sitting with a bend in our knees, feet flat on the floor. So we're almost done with the practice. We just have a few more stretches. I like to call them asterisk signs, comparing the stretch at the beginning of practice versus now to see if there's a difference. Hands under legs and thighs. We're going to do 4 rolls up and down on that back to massage the spine. More of a challenge, you can even grab your feet. More of a challenge, you can straighten the legs. And on your last one, we'll rock down onto our back, knees come into our chest, hugging them tight, curling up into that tight ball, forehead towards the legs. Relaxing head down, gently rocking side to side. Keeping that right knee into your chest, lengthening left leg down or placing it bent on the floor so you don't arch the back. Bringing that right knee close to the shoulder, and when you're ready, making those circular movements with the leg. We won't be here too long, we're just reassessing how that hip feels now versus when we first did this at the beginning of our practice. Go ahead and reverse that direction when you're ready. And stopping back at center, we're going to switch sides. So lengthening right leg, left knee comes in. Again, right leg can be lengthened or bent. Hugging that left knee into your chest, towards your shoulder, core engaged, low back glued to the floor, and making those circular movements with the left hip. Again, seeing how that hip feels now versus the start of our practice. Still using your slow, steady breath in and up through your nose. And we'll go ahead and reverse the direction of our circle. When you're ready, we'll keep that left knee into our chest. We'll bring right knee into our chest as well. Arms coming out to a T, palms face skyward. Let's gaze to our left fingers as we exhale, dropping bent knees over to the right, coming into a twist. Using that right hand to ground your legs deeper to the floor, stretching up the lower back. As you inhale, let that left lower stomach inflate like a balloon. As you exhale, try to squeeze navel deeper to your spine, cleansing those inner organs. On your inhale, bringing knees back through center, exhaling, switching sides, gazing to the right hand, dropping knees to the left, using that left hand to gently ground your legs deeper to the floor, filling up the right side body as you inhale, exhaling, navel to spine. If you worked really hard during your practice, really use these closing poses to focus on the breath, to slow the breathing. On our inhale, coming back to center, keeping a bend in the knees, happy baby pose. Arms come to the insides of the legs, grabbing for the outsides of the feet. So press feet into hands, hands into feet. Again, comparing how this happy baby feels now versus the start when we first did it. Rocking side to side, breathing into those lower muscles, muscles of the pelvic floor, letting them relax and lengthen. And then grabbing hold of both big toes with thumb and second finger. Last stretch, last time, straightening legs out into your wide-legged straddle. Stretching all the inner thigh muscles, the hip adductors. Drawing soles of the feet together overhead when you're ready. Bending at the knees, knees open out to the sides for supine butterfly. To relax the feet down onto the floor. Just how we started our practice, relaxing the shoulders down your back. Right hand to your stomach, left hand to your heart. As we close our eyes. Allowing your body to relax, allowing your mind to quiet. Finally being able to let go of your breath, your bandhas, and your thoughts. Taking a deep inhale in through the nose. Exhaling it all out through the mouth with sound. Again, another deep, slow inhale in. And exhaling it all out. When you're ready, allowing the palms of the hands to face up alongside the body. Adjust your receptivity. So we lengthen through right and left leg, toes flaring out like the pages of a book. Taking our Shavasana, final relaxation pose. Letting all the benefits of your practice sink in. So important to take this little bit of time out of your day to rest and recover. Settling in with your thoughts, how you're feeling. Coming back to that breath that keeps us constant and steady all throughout our lives. You can always find the calmness and peace within the breath. And just taking this small time out of the day to really enjoy your breath. You're a lifelong companion. into your lungs and let it go. One more time, filling up the lungs as if they were balloons. And just letting it all go. So we begin to wiggle our fingers and our toes. Rotating the ankles and the wrists. Reaching both arms out overhead, just getting that total body stretch. As if you're just waking up from your bed this morning. So we keep that right arm reaching overhead, bringing our knees into our chest and rolling onto our right side into the fetal position. Using your right arm as a little pillow for your head. And when you're ready, using the strength in your left hand, push yourself up to a tall seated posture. Eyes remain closed. So we bring our hands to our hearts and feel our hearts beating. For each new morning with its light, for rest and shelter of the night, for joy and hope, for love and friends, for everything that goodness sends. Namaste. Good job. Thank you for practicing with me. Hopefully you feel relaxed. Hopefully your hips feel a little bit looser. Again, my name is Laura. I'm a doctor of physical therapy and also a yoga instructor, yoga enthusiast. If you liked this video, if you don't mind giving it a like, that would be great. Subscribing to my channel and sharing this video with anyone that would love yoga, would benefit from yoga, that needs yoga, which is everyone. Share it, please. I hope you have a blessed day. Namaste.